bother. I don't think that worked.
Welcome back to our next instalment of our van conversion series. Now on our van we've got quite a lot of stone chips. It's only a 4-year-old van, but even in that time it's managed to get a lot of stone chips. And if you leave them long enough, what they're going to end up looking like is this one here, which is the worst rust that we've actually got on the entire van, which honestly for a 4 to 5-year-old van is quite lucky. Some of them are a lot worse, but we need to fix this one, which is the worst rust we have, and then also we need to fix rather a big eyesore, which is this huge missing paint patch here. So the first thing that we're going to do, we're just going to spray some alcohol and clean it and wipe it down so that there's no contaminants around it and we can actually see what we're working on. Once it's clean, we're going to sand it down with 80 grit sandpaper. Now for sandpaper, the lower the number, the more aggressive it is. This is very aggressive sandpaper and you don't want to press hard at all because you don't want to have to remove more metal than you actually have to. So before you just go and spray paint, you actually need to make sure that you isolate the area that you want to prime, because you don't want to just spray paint all over. But you can't just put masking tape around this square here, because then you're just going to get very harsh paint lines. So a nice neat little trick that lots of painters use, you get a piece of paper and you bend it like such, and that way when the paint hits it will just feather in and it won't get a harsh line. It'll just give a semi-harsh line, which you can then sand in and feather into the rest of the paint. And all we now have to do is leave that to dry. So it's been 10 to 15 minutes, and now we're just going to give it a second coat according to the can. So whilst that one's drying, what we're going to do, we're going to go and prime this one and that one on the corner so that we can paint them all at the same time.
So here around the corner, this is I think some more of that rubber seal that was on the wheel arches inside. The one that had a lot of rust under it. Still rusty. So it's been about 24 hours and this is what we have. So the primer should have hardened and we should be able to paint on it without any trouble. Have a look at the detail. I mean, I don't know how well we did with sanding, but you can still see roughly where it is. This here, if you can see, the paint has sort of like scrunched up a little bit and I don't know why. It looked exactly the same as any of these edges here. And I cannot figure why it's scrunched up like that. It wasn't looking perfect to begin with, so as long as it's sort of roughly blended, it doesn't really matter. This one so far I think is one of the better ones. You can barely see what you were trying to cover.
What we need to do next is sand it down just so that the paint has something to bond to, but we don't want to sand it too much because we've already put a layer of primer. So I'm just going to go around the edge with some 800 grit sandpaper that's not going to rough it up too much, but it's going to get the edges nice and smoothed down with the rest of the van. Now comes the fun part. You gotta spray the van.
And not mess up.
And not mess up. So what we've colour matched our van to the specific paint. Every van, every car, all that has a specific paint colour, so make sure you find your exact paint colour. Here goes.
Ankle. Just a point of reference, this nozzle, can you see that one? Yeah. So this one is not very good for even car painting because this one releases too much and is quite sensitive. It's very annoying. Don't drip. Disclaimer, it's the first time we're doing this. So, although the steps are technically correct, that does not mean that we are performing them as they should be done. Yeesh. So now we need to wait another 24 hours for that to dry completely until we can get onto the lacquer. Seriously, can somebody work out a faster way of doing this?
That's good. Let's tidy up.
Alright, another 24 hours down the drain. And this is what the paint currently looks like. It looks much better than obviously the primer. At certain angles you can't really see stuff. Needs a little bit of cleaning up, and then we're gonna put some lacquer or clear coat or whatever you call it on it. Annoyingly, this you can still see the outline, but you can't feel it in most places. So I don't know, I guess you need a lot more sanding for it to level out. Whatever. It looks less of an eyesore than before. Yes?
Get papering.
No!
3, 2, 1. So we're just cleaning around this area because by the time we put the clear coat on, what's going to happen is the clear coat locks all the dirt in. So what we don't want to happen is there to be dirt here and then spray clear coat over the top and that to be locked in forever because you're never going to get that out. So we've cleaned up the area and now what we're going to do is we're going to clear coat it. So this has been sitting in hot water for about 10 minutes just so that the clear coat doesn't peel off after we spray it on because we don't want that to happen.
I can't tell how it's covering.
No, that's the thing about clear coated. Clear coat stuff.
Alrighty then, so it's been 2 to 3 days, I kind of lost count somewhere in there, and the clear coat has been drying for that time, and this is what it currently looks like. So the final stage is we need to polish the outside, so I'm really hoping this is some sort of magical stage that's gonna just make this all blend in a bit more.
Now you can either do it by hand, which will take a lot longer, or you can get some sort of polishing or sanding machine and put a buffing pad on the top, so that it will make your job a lot easier. So that's what we're going to do because we have a sanding machine.
Pickle. I don't think that worked.
Well, I mean, it sort of did. It sort of didn't.
Right then, plan F. So we need to fix this.
Again.
Well, we fixed the rust. It's just you know, it looks like a toddler has you know, finger painted. So we got suggested a few tips from you guys. Now Gadget John suggested that we use compound paste.
Compound paste to try and blend this in.
Yeah. However, honestly, we're not that skilled at fixing paintwork, obviously.
As you can see.
So option 2. So it actually occurred to us that we don't actually like the color of a van that much, and we don't want to spend days upon and trying to blend this grey onto this grey. So
I think we're going to repaint the van.
yes,
Different colour. Not silver, not grey, something cool.
Something cool. So if you want to see how we repaint our van on the budget, then subscribe, come along, and you know, wait for us to fix this mess.